The NBA is well known for its egotistical players, and before we can talk about who the most prominent egotistical players are, we should remind you that each and every NBA player thinks highly of themselves. It's necessary for success in basketball's Premier League. However, there are a few that stand out, like our first player on this list, Shaquille "Shaq" O'Neal. It's quite a shame that Shaq is on this list. He was such a likable guy until he became obsessed with being likable. In his post-playing career as a basketball analyst, we've seen his need to be the center of attention. He's had some petty feuds with former and current players. And we can't forget how much he loves to hijack the best NBA studio show with his forced humor and often corny sense of humor.
Whoever's paying him to say all this stuff, I will pay you double to stop it.
Hold on. Shaq, how did Dennis Rodman play defense?
Don't get us wrong, as much as anyone else on this list, Shaq seems like a nice guy, and we'd love to see more of his natural charm. The next player on our list is going to have to be Stephon Marbury. Now, he and Kevin Garnett had a good thing in Minnesota. They were ideal running mates. They were the kind of duo that could have set up the Timberwolves for 10+ years of playoff runs.
Bringing in noise, bringing in funk.
However, when Garnett received a $125.6 million contract extension in 1998, this was more than what the temperamental Marbury could handle, according to Kevin McHale, that is. He said that Marbury was really bothered by the money that KG got. Marbury also felt that the town wasn't big enough for the both of them and unequivocally said that he wouldn't be coming back. After that, Starbury showed each team that got him why the nickname was so fitting. So, before we get deeper into the video, which player do you consider to be one of the most, if not the most, egotistical player? For us, the next player is going to be Isaiah Thomas. Thomas has been a walking wounded ego for the better part of 25 years, particularly when the subject of MJ comes up. And no, not Michael Jackson.
Now here's why I was upset of watching a documentary of a guy being an to everybody, but then call me a and I ain't been nothing but nice to this dude.
He allegedly organized a freeze-out of Michael Jordan in the 1985 All-Star Game. In 1990, when his Pistons were swept by the Chicago Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals, he made sure to lead his team off the court without shaking hands.
Find people more so than scoring. Isaiah Thomas, the plays of the Bulls right now are plays of desperation. You know, they have already sensed it slipping away, and guys are trying to do more than they're capable of doing, and that includes Michael Jordan.
In 2011, he said that he would beat Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and even Jordan if they were all 6'1". We know that we're piling it a bit on Zeke, and it doesn't feel good when we already know that history has tarnished his legacy, but his arrogance has made him an unwelcome person in so many different NBA circles. Now that we're talking about MJ and Zeke.
So all this, you know, Isaiah was an ass. No, dude, I was looking out for you. Now, when we played, right, you ain't seen me hit Michael Jordan. As a matter of fact, you ain't seen me hit nobody. Lambeer and Mahorn would hit somebody, and what they would do? They would come hit me.
Why don't we bring up Michael Jordan as the next player on this list? Yes, we forgive most players with bad egos when they have a lot of talent. But in Michael Jordan's case, his ego is his talent. He had a relentless drive to be the best, and this was the lens that he saw the world with. Opponents were there to be dominated. All teammates, well, they were also there to be dominated, sometimes even in a humiliating fashion. It's obvious that his competitive streak borders on sociopathic, and we wouldn't want it any other way. When he gave his Hall of Fame induction speech, it only made it clear how much competition fueled his personality.
I got so many people I can thank. In all the videos, you never just saw me. You saw Scottie Pippen. Every championship I won.
Some may find it a tad disturbing, and others will always see it as the best speech ever. This list has seen a few egotistical players, and MJ is probably one of the biggest egos in the world. But one player does come quite close: LeBron James. Think back to 2012, and how you and I were both tired of talking about the decision.
When did you decide?
I think I decided this morning. I mean, I decided this morning. I went day to day on You know, I wake up one morning as this team, I wake up another morning as this team, and you know, it was a process that, you know, I felt that was going to happen, where, you know, I may feel like this is the best opportunity for me, or it's not the best opportunity for me.
But while it's no longer fashionable to keep his feet to the fire, the largest public demonstration of his ego in NBA history does deserve a mention. So does LeBron's pre-game mime routine for his Cleveland days. And hey, we can't forget about his chosen tattoo, or his nickname as King James, which he has embraced since his prep days. Given the L Train's talent, it would be a feat if LeBron didn't have such a big ego. But if we're honest, the sky-high confidence has caused him to hit a few bad notes in what seems like a near-flawless career. Now, we're going to bring in the late Kobe Bryant. In his lifetime, he didn't say a lot that would suggest he deserves a spot on this list. However, the way that he carried himself on and off the court, especially earlier in his career, when his swag seemed so manufactured and forced, it was hard not to hold it against him. Kobe was a brilliant player though, and his ego was high because of that. But when you're considered by many to have been one of the best players of all time, you certainly earned a hell of an ego. Rest in peace, Kobe. So the next player is extremely popular, most likely because of his statue, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the man who had a public kerfuffle with former Laker Andrew Bynum, and long-standing hard feelings with former Clipper Michael Olowokandi. He had a lot of problems with the NBA world, and most importantly, with Lakers management for not giving him a shot at a head coaching position. He wasn't alone when it came to wanting better for himself. We would have really liked to see a player of his talent enjoy a more fitting career ending. But alas, Jabbar, the NBA's all-leading and six-time NBA champ, is now a regular contributing columnist for the Washington Post and Time magazine. Rick Barry is going to have to be the next and final person for this video. As a player, he was despised by his contemporaries for his arrogant ways. In the 1974-75 season, Barry averaged 30.6 points per game and led the Golden State Warriors to a championship, finishing just fourth of the MVP race. At the time, it was a player vote. Barry was an analyst, and he was overly critical and, in some instances, quite impolite. Once he described Bill Russell, who was standing right by him, as having a watermelon grin. Then, there was the time he scolded Warriors fans at Chris Mullin's jersey retirement ceremony. Barry's condescending manner and massive ego are what most people hated most. And it goes to show that just because you have a big ego doesn't mean you can be a massive about it. Okay, we'll add one bonus player to this list, Wilt Chamberlain. The late great Wilt Chamberlain was big on individual accomplishments. He once tried to play a game without taking any shots. How else was he supposed to boost up his assists? He famously boasted that he had slept with over 20,000 women, although that seems a bit doubtful. He also thought that his physical prowess was so amazing that he wanted to fight Muhammad Ali. Still, his egotism was usually good-natured. By all accounts, he was a nice and funny guy, and many people say that they really liked him. Understandably, his talent went to his head a little, but at least it didn't make him a bad person. So, who do you think is the most egotistical player in NBA history? And who would you have liked to see on this list? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time in another video.